These people are legit.
Yeah, what's up, brother?
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing?
Brandon, you look good.
What?
Okay,
Shoot.
you getting all thick on me and stuff, okay, working out. I see you, Brandon.
Hey, this ain't about business, man. You got to work the body too. You got the whole picture.
Oh my gosh. Thanks, Sharon. Welcome, Brandon. So we were also talking about you as well recently. You started in this business when you were working in the packaging department at FedEx. You did your first deal in 30 days, and then another deal the second month, another deal the third month. And by the third month, you had a question you had to ask yourself, all this money you're making part-time as a side hustle, imagine how much more you could do if you quit your job and went all in on this. And that's exactly what you did. You quit your job and you're doing this now. So can you quickly share your journey, your experience, your story with everyone, and talk about where you are now today, what deals you got working today as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Dolmar mentioned, I just kind of started, I was package handling at FedEx, doing the standard 9 to 5 lifestyle, but I was in a very dark place at that time because I had just moved to Nashville. I came on my own with my dog, so I really didn't have anybody here, had no friends, no connections or anything. And it really wasn't panning out how I imagined the picture was going, because Nashville was kind of like my dream city. So I was also a musician, so I was like, I had big dreams here, but they just weren't, I wasn't getting the traction that I imagined it would be off the bat. So, I was just kind of slaving away at FedEx. They were working me to death up in there full time. I just began to fall into this, like, it was basically a cycle of just going through this full-time schedule with them every day. I really wasn't doing anything else outside of that for a while. Started getting into all these toxic surroundings and environments. And then one day I just, I kind of just got tired of it. I was tired of, like, nights of just not being able to sleep. I was in so much pain, my body hurting, my just thoughts in my head, like regretting all the decisions and coming here and stuff. And I was like, man, I better just go home, man. I had thoughts like I just need to go home. And I finally just kind of just had I had this passion for investing for, I had it for years, but I never really explored it. And one day I was just scrolling down social media, I guess, and then Dolmar's ad popped up. Typically I just pass those, I'm not about it. I just see too many of them nowadays. So, but I for whatever reason, I was thinking about getting back into investing regardless. So, I don't know. I seen Dolmar's ad. I looked at it and it piqued my interest because it gave me a practical way to get into real estate, which for me was, I'd been hearing about, how the Nashville market was heating up, and everybody was talking about it around here. So, I thought that'd be a nice place to get started if I wanted to, enter into the investing space and actually start getting active with it. So I just, I entered into the program. I took a look at it, and I realized, like, even though I was broke at the time and I really didn't have any resources or knowledge or know-how, I realized, like, wholesaling was really the space to get started if you want to, a bridge into being a real estate investor. So, I just kind of came in, started the program up back in April, went through the first month with Sharon, man. And I came in, I was so stubborn. I didn't want to do the cold calling thing. It was crazy because I actually had a 5-year sales experience background. I was fairly successful in that during that time frame in sales. I'd done direct, and I guess I just been out of the loop for a while. I don't know, but I something about getting on that phone, I just didn't want to do it. And I'm a networking guy, so I was working around what I needed to be doing any way I could. I was getting out, just talking to people and networking and hitting any event I could find. But it actually kind of worked to my advantage. I didn't find it my first deal through cold calling, but coming out of the first month with Sharon, I had another wholesaler here in town who had been at it for about a year, and he had 3 contracts with the same investor. He was a seasoned guy. He'd been here since the 80s, old guy with just a huge portfolio around that in the middle Tennessee area. He was selling a portion off, and this guy had done 3 really bad contracts, and he was about to lose them all. And as a matter of fact, he was about to be taken to court by the seller. And so he kind of just, we met at a networking event, and I was telling him about, my excitement for the space and stuff. And he said, man, I got these 3 contracts. You know, what can you do with them? I said, you know, let me take a look, see what you got. You know, I went ahead and analyzed the deals. They were in great spots. He actually had, one of them was an 8-unit apartment building in the heart of Northeast Nashville, which if anybody's been exploring real estate lately or heard about the Nashville market, they know that East Nashville is just the heart of it all. So I knew there was a big opportunity in the contracts, but it was just the way, you know, he was a poor negotiator. He got them at really bad prices. The seller just got his way on the contract. He just basically signed off on whatever the seller wanted. And man, there was just contingencies and everything backing him. And so I had to take it back to the negotiating table. And so I said, you know, let me get the contact info for this guy. And we met up at a Cracker Barrel. You know, I've always been a pretty strong negotiator. So I was like, you know, I had a little bit of just natural confidence going in that like I'd be able to get the conversation going. But you know, long story short, I jumped into that and he ate me up. He ate me. I mean, he just chewed me up, spit me out. But something about maybe just the conversation or my presence, he liked me a little bit. And so we continued the conversation from there. I just, you know, would contact him back, reapproach it, tell him, let's just see what we can get done here. And I think I said, let me talk to a few of the buyers I've been building relationships with at some of these networking events, and let's see what we can get done. Well, the buyers around town, based on, I mean, even though the area was great, the asset itself was probably like a C minus, you know. So it wasn't the highest quality asset, but it had a lot of potential. It was definitely a value add scenario. But most of the buyers were coming in around at most 900K, and this thing was, we had this thing signed it was I believe it was 1.2. I think it was 1.2. And so we were just out of reach, had a couple 100K to close the gap there. And I was, I just go back and forth. I was talking to buyers. I was saying, just try and basically pin down what would help to close that gap for them. What's holding them up on coming up and reaching us at 1.2. And it was basically just a back and forth scenario of reapproaching the negotiation with the buyer. I think we actually we had a renegotiation 2 or 3 times after that Cracker Barrel incident, and it was just through the building of that relationship that his guard began to lower. He began to listen to me a little more and basically just give way on the price a little bit. I think most of it due to the rapport we had built in the relationship, but I think that's why, when Steven said this thing's all about relationships, it really is. You just stay patient with people, you build the relationship, man, and it's amazing. People I've even had along the way, we've sold mediocre deals. They weren't the greatest deals, but my guys like me, so they'll take a mediocre deal a lot of times if the relationship's strong. So, but just getting back to the story though, is we renegotiated 2 or 3 times, and finally he met. He said, I'll go to 1 point. I think it was 1.01 or something, 1.01 or 1.05. And I was thinking, well, this deal's dead, because the highest buyer I had. I mean, at that point I had networked and got in with one of the co-founders of Tennessee's Real Estate Investing Association here, and even he couldn't work the numbers in a way that would be able to make it work. So I had this thing listed. How I marketed it was I had a listing on Facebook Marketplace. I had a Craigslist posting, and I shot out an email marketing campaign. And I had a guy out of the blue, but he came into town and seen a listing on Craigslist for this and hit me up. And this guy does millions of dollars a month in volume. So we were down to where the closing date was within 2 weeks. And we, beyond due diligence, inspection was gone. I was thinking, man, I signed up for something. I knew I had a feeling like I had too much confidence coming in. I'm not gonna pull this through. Of course, I wasn't communicating that though. So I was just saying, I last minute I'm just twiddling my thumbs. I didn't know what I was gonna do. This guy called me up on a Craigslist posting, and he said, I really like this deal. I see it being a great short-term rental opportunity. Let me take a look at it. Well, it was beyond inspection period, and this thing was filled with tenants. most of whom we had one tenant had actually been there for 30 years. And so, you know, these tenants are just kind of like family to this owner at this point. And so they were very like skeptical because they had seen people coming and going and seen the owner more often. So they were already, you know, and he was not keen on the idea of bringing anybody around. He just wanted to sell the deal under the table, you know, and be done, not be seen. So I had to talk him into setting up a showing with one of these units, actually two of the units. And I said, we got 2 weeks though to close this. And he said, you know, I can do it in a week if I like it. So second showing, he said that everything checked out for him. So we went and we closed on Monday though. And I think we came out with 15,000, and I had negotiated the majority split on the JV with this wholesaler because he sat back and I basically had to take the wheel from there. He didn't do anything. I didn't even hear from him. So that's that. He basically shut up, and I didn't hear from him until closing day. He just asked me, I think the week before closing, if we were still set. And so I came out with $9,000, and he took the remainder. So
boom. I want to just because I took notes as you were chatting, Brandon. I took some notes while you were sharing your story, and I want to highlight a few things really quickly. What Brandon shared in his story, the strategy that Brandon used, we call that the middleman method, also known as joint venturing. And he was able to negotiate his very first deal, without any risk out of his pocket, any risk at all. He was able to get his first deal done, close this deal, make $9,000 on this deal by executing this middleman method with this other person. Now, here's the other cool thing that you will realize as you get out there in the real world. You know, a lot of people, like this particular individual, they don't go through formal training like you all are getting right now in this 3-day class. They go to places like YouTube University and try to learn this concept and strategy for free. But here's the thing with that. While there's a lot of information out there for free, you don't know where to start or how to put the pieces together, and you end up screwing up badly and executing bad deals or taking advantage of people, sometimes unintentionally. Looks like this guy did that with a couple of deals and started creating a bad name and rep for himself. Almost got sued if Brandon didn't save him on this deal. But because Brandon had the education and knowledge with us here, he went in, was able to insert himself into that deal, renegotiate a better deal for himself, because most people do 50-50. When you're doing a middleman deal with another person, usually that person might get 50% of the deal, or they might negotiate a higher percentage where you get a smaller one. Still, no risk out of your pocket though. No risk, no money out of your pocket, no risk to you. But Brandon was able to flip the script because with the right knowledge and training, he was able to renegotiate with the seller, basically take over the deal and bring it all the way to the end and walk away with $9,000 on this deal. So that's one thing I wanted you all to realize from this, what he was able to do. Now, you also heard a lot of issues going through this process, a lot of roadblocks, setbacks, hurdles, challenges. And again, this is why we talk about mindset, why mindset is so important. He too could have given up easily. You know, from the moment he sat down at that table, you know, to renegotiate the deal and the seller ate him alive, he could have walked away with his tail between his legs and given up, and just give up on the deal. No, but he kept in touch, kept rapport, kept building that relationship, and was able to turn this around and actually get this deal done. So I'm looking at my notes here as I was writing down, as you were sharing your story, Brandon, some of the things that you did. And the key thing here, he was consistent and he was persistent. So Brandon, what I want to ask you now is you've executed this middleman method multiple times now. You did it on the first deal. You made $9,000 on the first deal in your first 30 days, by the way. How much did you make on your second deal, your third deal, by the time you decided it's time to quit my job and go all in on this?
Steven brought the checks, so I might as well bring the checks too. So I only took checks on my first 3 deals. So it just so happens that those are the only checks I got. After that, I went with direct deposit because I got tired of having to run around and pick them up. But first one's 15,000.
Let me see it. Bring it closer.
Yeah, hang on.
They want to see it. They want to see it. Bring it closer.
On the minimize thing. Hang on. I can't see my screen. Hang on. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, bring it closer. You guys can see that. There we go. Wait, move it over.
See the number there.
Boom.
That's the first deal.
So that's the first deal.
What's the next second one? Deal right there. That was a land deal.
Boom, nice.
That was the land deal. The land's where it's at, guys. Man, you guys need to wholesale land. Once you get the single families down, that's where the money's at.
Let's see the next one.
And then that's the third.
And so at this point, you've closed these 3 deals doing the middleman method. And now you're saying to yourself, what, Brandon? Continue the story from there, because you made a major life change and decision. And that decision, was it a good one, bad one? What ended up after that? What ended up happening after that decision?
Well, so these first 3 checks, after these deals, I made the decision to, take the leap of faith and trust that I could do this full time. I'd pull through. So, 3 months in, Jeff had been recommending it. I think I got recommendations from a few other coaches too, but it was time. So I quit my job. My assumption was, hey, if I can do this part-time, surely I can get at least 1 deal a month with nothing better to do than this, because I'm not going to a job. So I just took the leap of faith after that, joined the other end of the business, the real assistants, got a VA, and we've just been, cranking it out from there, doing deals, almost on the month. There's been low points though. Winter was actually a little slow for me. I had 1 month where I actually didn't close a deal. And I thought, for me, it was like, is the world ending for me? Because it was so strange. I was like, man, I didn't even get closing this month. So, but yeah, it's not been smooth sailing the whole way. There's been, a month, almost 2 months that I didn't know if I was going to get a closing. So, but we've pulled through. I actually wanted to tell Dolmar too, because there was one of the deals we lost was actually one of the biggest deals we've ever done. That big development deal in Knoxville, that 8-figure deal fell through.
Oh man.
So we were looking at everything. Everybody was excited. Me and my VA, we were pumped for this 6-figure payout that was coming on the land deal, 525 acres over in Knoxville. And the buyer had zero intention of buying it where he actually closed it at, or where they signed off at. They signed off at a price and he was going to nickel and dime them through the due diligence process to get to the price he really wanted. And so once we figured that out, we kind of just told him, look, if this is what's going to happen, we're not coming off the price. And they walked away. So we didn't end up getting that, but we bounced back. So this is what we did. We turned around and I found another 55 acres from a bird dog in town here, who coincidentally now is a business partner of mine. He is now my right-hand man. He's helping me to close contracts starting this month. Actually, this is our first week together, starting tag teaming on deals. But he sourced the lead for me and reached out, and there's a 55-acre farm in West Nashville that happens to be around a bunch of new development that's going on. And we turned around and, it was a much smaller deal. It was $2.45 million contract compared to a $15 million deal. And we're getting much better quality buyer. We've got a margin on that one of 125,000, and I was only going to come out of the other deal with 62.5. So, we turned around and got another deal, and that one's closing in June with a lot more confidence in the buyer. They've already made their $25,000 deposit, and due diligence is already rolling. So, you just got to bounce back, guys. It's not, I thought the world was over when I lost that development deal. I thought, because I that was going to be, there was so much, personal pride I had in that, accomplishing something like that, because we put a lot of effort into that deal. But took a week, shook it off. I got back out there, sourced that one from my bird dog, and we took a smaller deal and still doubled our profit.
The lesson I want you all to get from this, by the way, thank you for sharing that. And again, we're giving you the real, the raw, the authentic, the good, the bad, because everyone's saying this. The strategy we're teaching you is a simple concept, but it requires work, right? You're going to have to put in work. Don't think that this is some get rich quick overnight type of scheme. Like any business, this also requires work. And the more serious you take it, the better the results are going to be for you on the other end. And one thing I wanted to highlight with Brandon is that he's constantly filling his pipeline. He's constantly making these calls. He wasn't just sitting around, oh, I got this one awesome deal, I should hopefully make this $60,000 payday and I'm going to chill. Nah, his team, his virtual assistants, they're still pounding the phone. They're still making calls, continuing to fill that pipeline, because yes, hopefully this deal could go through, but it also may not. But don't worry, we got all these others that we're working as well, so that there continues to be momentum. And Brandon's doing that right now because he hired a team now. They're going to continue to build on the momentum that they've started with. And hopefully Brandon will be closing multiple deals per month. And very soon, seeing, just like his coaches, 6-figure months, all right? It doesn't start there overnight, so don't expect that. It doesn't happen overnight. But you can absolutely grow to that and build to that. So Brandon, thank you so much. There's another thing he also said, by the way, that I want to highlight. He said, don't be afraid of wholesaling land. I don't think we mentioned this, so I want to highlight it right now. You can wholesale any type of real property. We've mostly been talking about single family houses, but you can actually wholesale single family houses, townhouses, condos, land, mobile homes, mobile home parks, small to large commercial assets, buildings, and apartments and so forth. You can wholesale all of those things. And so what we're teaching you isn't just excluded to just single family houses. It's not. You can wholesale any type of property. So Brandon has picked up a niche in his market to do this with land. You can hear the big numbers he's talking about. And he's built a buyer database of people that are looking for those types of assets. Sharon, any questions you want to ask?
Yeah, we teach them to build their pipeline. We don't teach them to wait for deals to close. I teach them to fill it up. Properties are going to come and go. But Brandon, we got to highlight that Brandon got a little spanking in the beginning. He was doing a bunch of busy stuff that I was like, what are you doing? It's week 34. What are you doing?
Yeah,
And
I knew that
didn't
too.
like his,
I scheduled
like
that
his
one-on-one. I knew you were going to kick my butt too. That's why I scheduled a one-on-one with you. And I was like, she's going to tell me what I need to hear. And she did, man. She verbally slapped me back and forth, man. Spanked me.
I did. All of them have probably gotten a spanking at some point, but I did have to spank him a little bit. And that next day he sent me a message like, I utilized my networking and I got 3 contracts. I said, that's what I'm talking about. He was too busy trying to call lenders. I'm like, you're not buying anything. Like, focus on buyers, investors, sellers. He was just doing a bunch of busy work. But look at him now. He's doing 5 figures. He consistently did 5 figures a month up until these past few months. So he's just got to get back on track. It was a slow month, Brandon. I didn't, close very many that month either. So you're doing great.
I think it was I think the first month I had I think it was September or October. But yeah, we got back on track, and it's just, man, you got to be consistent. That's it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I taught them all how to build the business side of it. They knew how to get deals. So we focused just past few months on the business side of things. So he's working on building that out and how to distribute the funds when deals come in so that he can allocate to different parts of his business. So he's ready to go. Good job.
Awesome. Listen, he was able to do it in his first 30 days in that quick start program, the accelerated program we talked about. He almost didn't. The last week, Sharon was able to get him back on track to make it happen. He came back with those 3 contracts. Hey, Dolmar Cross here. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to drop a like and comment if you enjoyed it. And by the way, I have so much more amazing, sexy content coming up on real estate investing, entrepreneurship, and so much more. So be sure to subscribe, hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss another video or upload. And by the way, follow me on Instagram as well. It's Dolmar Cross on Instagram, so you don't want to miss any of my content there either. And finally, check out automatedinvestor.com if you want to learn more about real estate investing, how you can get started with no money, no credit, no real estate license, so you can also change your life and make a lot of money in the process, all right? Subscribe, like, comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.